Today on First Cup, I'm going to give you some behind the scenes on why I wanted to do the very different episode of Martial Arts Radio that we did today. We'll talk about, we've got quotes from a Cobra Kai / Karate Kid 2 actor, and I'm sure you guys will all show up with more. So stick around. We're rolling in 8 seconds. I'm talking about that talk through the first 30. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Thursday. It's January 27th, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Oh. Sometimes waiting to have coffee to do this show, I don't know if everyone believes me that I wait, but I genuinely do. And sometimes if I'm actually, on the ball, which is rare, before coffee, I'm sitting there, I'm smelling the coffee, and I'm like, oh, they won't know. Anyway. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Andy. Good morning to all of you, whether you were watching live or later or listening. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you joining me. It's cold again. Still again? I don't know anymore. I'll show you. Here's the thing that surprises me about this camera is the quality with which I can show you. I tested this quality with which I can show you an image of a picture I took of my thermometer and how close I can put it, and it's fine. Minus 24, in case, you're listening or didn't feel like doing thermometer math. Minus 24. Not quite the minus 27 of last Saturday, but minus 24. Yep, it's cold. This thing, did I mention this thing? I bought this little, I think I talked about this the other day. Went all around the house and found that the most porous, the least thermally insulated aspect is the door, not the garage door, but the door next to the garage, which is right there. So I'm going to swap that this summer. It's even the wood is super cold. Like I'm just going to swap the door, put like a normal door in there. So hopefully, knock on wood, that makes a difference. Good morning, Daniel. And he says next week in the 40s, a week from today, at least the last time I looked at the forecast. There's the word, 44 degrees. Woo! I'm excited. I'll be outside in a t-shirt because that's going to be 70 degrees warmer than right now. 70 degrees warmer. Yeah, that's nice. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis says, happy Thursday, peeps. I get to see Dennis soon. Looking forward to hanging out with my buddy. Good morning, Ray. What was I going to say? So let's talk about that. Let's start off with that because I want to see if I can make this work. So we've got a new episode of Martial Arts Radio out today because it is Thursday. And here, I want to try this. What happens if I do? I don't want that format. No, not that one. I think I want this one. Yeah, I'm going to do this one. See, Andrew and I, we're getting better with StreamYard, trying all these things. So episode 679, what we're calling the state of the company. Kind of a play on the state of the country, state of the state. Whistlekick's been going for a while. And a lot of things have changed since the beginning. And as we go deeper, I'm more comfortable opening up and talking about the what and the why behind the scenes. And I thought it was time to talk about where we've been and where we're going. Because if you look back at where we started, this is a product company. Whistlekick is a company that makes a bunch of stuff. And now in 2022, we're a content and events company that sells some products sometimes. How'd you get there? What's the plan? Well, I give you the plan. So what we did is more or less Andrew interviewed me and gave me the opportunity to talk about stuff. And I enjoyed it. This episode isn't going to be for everyone. If you tune in to Thursday episodes solely to come away with information for your training or teaching, you're probably not going to dig this episode. But if you are at least somewhat on board with the mission, connect, educate, entertain traditional martial arts throughout the world, then you'll probably find some value in this episode. If you're watching or listening to First Cup, you're probably going to enjoy the episode. But you are already, there's some selection bias in me talking to all of you. Those of you, people don't just casually watch First Cup. It's people who really understand what we're doing. People who are part of the family, the whistlekick family, are here for First Cup. So there we go. I will stop sharing. And I'm back. Good morning, Nathan. Kelly says, oh, man, you get to see Dennis tomorrow. Dennis soon. I'm so jealous. And Dennis says, Kelly, tomorrow. And it looks like we're getting stuck in AC for a couple days. Maybe the way y'all in southern New England and New Jersey look at snow. I'm not getting stuck anywhere if I don't want to. Although I will say, as cheap as casino hotels are Sunday and Monday night, I may just stick around a couple more days because why not? We'll see. If everybody else is going to stick around, I will. You know, watering the plants before I go. I'll have clothes. I don't need anything. Kelly says, this is interesting to me. And, you know, honestly, as much as I don't want to go back and listen to it, I probably should. Kelly says, I listened to episode 100 yesterday, which was when my friend Daniel Hartz interviewed me. We did it at his kitchen table. He used to live in East Montpelier. He lives in Burlington now. She says, and was thinking about how much things have changed. Things have changed tremendously. Episode 100, when did we do that? So that was 2 years in. That would have been 5 years ago. Right? That was 5 years ago. Daniel says, I hope you can count cards. I don't gamble because it doesn't really interest me. It doesn't excite me. Of all the games, blackjack is my game. I am not a lucky person when it comes to things like that. And it's why I had a conversation with my accountant years ago when I liquidated my retirement to fund whistlekick. One of the many places that I went and pulled a whole bunch of money to go into whistlekick. And he was really concerned. And, you know, I have tremendous, George's is no longer my accountant, not because I dislike him or anything, but because I have a client who's an accountant and I get a much better deal. And this person is also quite capable. But, you know, he had some concerns. And I said, look, there's nobody I'm going to bet on, because that's what a retirement account is. When you invest in stocks, you're betting on other people. There's no one I'm going to bet on other than myself. I always come through. I always find a way. I've never had what I would call a long-term failure. I always find a way forward. And that's what I've continued to do. And let's face it, the first two businesses I started that everybody said were ridiculous investment of time and money are still operational. One of them, it's been 22 years. No, I didn't look in the last 6 months, but 22 years with the TV station I started. That's kind of good. Kelly says there are worse places to get stuck. Daniel says counting cards isn't gambling. But no, I don't gamble either, he says. Dennis says, Kelly, I do enjoy the nickel slots, and Kelly has never been to a casino. You want to hear how unlucky I am with gambling? I went to, let's see, first and the last time I did any substantial gambling was graduation week of college. So yeah, 20 years ago. And I sit down at a machine. Now I'm with some people and I sit down at a machine. I'm like, no, I don't want to sit at this machine because that means I only get to sit next to one of my friends. I'm going to sit in the middle so I can be next to both of my friends. The person who sat, so I moved from this machine to, you can already tell where this is going. So I moved from this machine to this machine. This machine, the one that I moved from, hit for $500. Yup. That was the last time I really gambled. I've been to gambling nights, casino night, fundraiser things. I actually have more fun running a blackjack table than I do gambling. It's all the fun with none of the loss. Because remember, gambling games are set up to favor the house. Otherwise, they wouldn't have them. So if you take a big step back and you look at them statistically, yeah, there's a reason that they do that. So what do I do? What do I do? I'll tell you more about that. I'll tell you what, if you guys want to know more about what the weekend's going to be, you can let me know because I will have plenty to talk about tomorrow from the hotel room. Heads up, audio and video quality will not be this good. I'm not bringing the good camera. I'm not even bringing this laptop. I'm bringing my small laptop and we're going to use the terrible cameras set up on that. I'm going to be here in all 480 pixels of glory. It's not going to be great, but that's okay. We will find a way through. We always do. Brian says, good morning. Stay warm. Minus 19. Yeah, I see your minus 19. And I raise you another negative 5 degrees. Tanya says, 480 pixels is plenty. Does anybody remember when we went from conventional broadcast TV to DVDs and we were like, wow, how many lines of resolution? 480 lines of resolution. That's insane. Look how good it looks. We put in a DVD of something that we've been watching over broadcast television for years. And you're like, oh, that's what that looks like. Oh, that's so cool. It hasn't been that big of a jump. I've got a 4K TV here, and I even pay extra for the 4K Netflix. And I sit and I'm like, that's cool. Is it really that much better than 1080? I don't know. It's a 55-inch TV. It should be that much better. I don't really know if it is. It's not as exciting. We've come so far. Kids these days, they don't know what they have. Brian says, yikes, you win. I usually do here in this valley. Just the way the weather patterns flow, things circulate a bit in here and it sits. So minus 24 when I wake up means likely closer to minus 30 at some point, 2, 3 a.m. That's quite probable. Daniel says VHS to DVD was a massive jump. Do you so I worked at a Blockbuster during that transition. 1999, I was working at a Blockbuster and DVDs were there. People had them, but there were still plenty of movies coming out. When something came out, it was more on VHS than DVD. I think the ratio was like 2, 3, 4 to 1. Depending on the film. And we had to rewind. We had these super fast rewinders and people would not rewind their films and we just constantly rewinding. I almost set that place on fire with one of the shrink wrap guns. I remember that. You know what's super funny about memories of this? 295-207-47299. That was my Blockbuster number. 95207 was the store number. 47299 was my member number. When I had to check in, 295-207-47299. That was my ID. 1999, it won't leave. Also in there, my first girlfriend's cell phone number. We haven't spoken. When did we split up? 2002. 20 years. I would be open to deleting those files. Ray says, my first computer had 32 megs of RAM, and I was told you'll never use that much. I saved my first computer programs on audio cassette. Yes, I'm one-upping you. Brian says, I bet I'll win the Whipping Wins match. Jenny says, one day the resolution will be so incredible that you'll be watching a movie and actually get roundhouse kicked on your couch, even if Chuck Norris isn't kicking. Ooh, there's a Chuck Norris joke in there. Hollywood has had to artificially restrict the quality of video to make sure that if you're watching a Chuck Norris film, you don't get hurt. Something like that. Dennis Campos says, I don't know why I just read your last name. Dennis says, be kind, please rewind. Yeah, nobody was kind. Daniel says, we cleared out the PC store I now own a while ago. We found an invoice for RAM, and when we worked it out and scaled up, 1 gigabyte of RAM would have cost 48,000 pounds. So what's that? 50, 60 something grand? That's awesome. Andy's headed off. Have a great day. You too, Andy. Daniel says, I used audio cassette too. Fun stuff. When I sold off my computer company to my employees, we had amassed a pretty good collection of fun old stuff, like the first laptop. It was a suitcase. It literally had a carrying handle, weighed like 30 pounds. We had some really fun stuff. I hope those guys still have those things. Original Apple IIs, Commodores. We had this big shelf running along the top edge, and for a long time it was a museum. And we ultimately had to take it down because people didn't understand what they were. They thought that that's what we were selling. They thought we were that behind the times. So we had to move everything. I don't know what they've done with all those things now, but to the right people, that stuff is worth money, real money. So good luck to them. All right, let's go to these quotes. So Frank gave us some quotes. On this day in 1966, actress Tamlyn Tomita, I may not be saying her name right, was born in Okinawa, Japan. In both Cobra Kai and The Karate Kid Part 2, she played Kumiko. What I had found after the success of Karate Kid 2 is that an actor basically needs to, a primary requirement on my part as how I view as actor, is you have to create a background. You have to create a history of that character and place her into the script that you're reading and carry on forward, because you don't know how the future unfolds. This is what storytelling is. You place a certain set of circumstances with a certain set of characters, and you see what unfolds after an event happens. I find acting fascinating. The amount of acting input that certain actors get versus others. I have this, which film was it? There was a film came out in like definitely last 10 years. I want to say last 6 years. And it was Christopher Walken and I think Morgan Freeman. And there was one other person who was really solid. Also older. And watching it, they played their roles so beautifully that my theory was they were given index cards, not scripts. It's like, okay, in this scene, we got to get from here to here and we have to accomplish this. And they just left the three of them to their devices because they're just great actors. It's also how, if you watch anything with Robin Williams and then you watch like behind the scenes, director's commentary, etc. Yeah, they'd give Robin Williams a script, but he didn't use it all the time, especially the comedic stuff. They just keep doing takes, and it seemed like they never used the takes that had the script. Ooh. Daniel's working on HTML and CSS and JavaScript. Keep it up, and I'm putting you to work on whistlekick.com. I really liked. Does this ruin anything? This doesn't really ruin anything. Cobra Kai season 2, when Kumiko comes in, that was a really nice bit of the story. I enjoyed seeing her. I enjoyed the way they incorporated her. I thought it added a lot. And I thought it was a good bridge from the way they handled season 1 to season 2. I'm still not done with season 4. I'm really struggling with it, guys. Like I sit down, it's like, I don't know that I can watch this. I have to get through it. It is part of our culture at this time. But it makes me sad. Maybe I'll work on that in the hotel room. See the word I'm using, working on it? Like, it's my job. Good morning, Craig. I haven't seen Craig on here in a while. All right, next quote. I was born in Okinawa, but on a U.S. Army base. And my father is Japanese American, which means that he is second generation, but my mom was born in the Philippines and raised in Okinawa. So how do you know where you are generationally from? I can claim all three legitimately, but I like to say that I am third generation American. Excuse me. There you go. When I look at my heritage, if you were to make a list, a quiet list of all the nationalities and heritages, lineages, whatever word you want to use, that people make fun of, that's me. Yup. I will not disclose that list because I don't want to potentially offend anyone. But if you want to ask me privately, I'll give you my genetic breakdown. Dennis says, Sarah and I watched season 4 in one shot. Craig says, Dennis, me too. Apparently, I'm the oddball here. Oh. I'm working on it, Frank. I'm working on it. Frank says, why do you put up with that when you could enjoy the wholesomeness and the goodness that is the original Kung Fu series? It is sitting right there. I promise. It's right. I'm looking at it. So Frank was kind enough to this, and this was before I even really knew Frank. Frank gifted me the full Kung Fu series. And I promised him I would not put it away until I watch it. And it hasn't happened. In part because, well, there was a long time I didn't have a DVD player. I think the PlayStation 4 will do it. It's going to happen. And actually, I should look to see if it's on streaming somewhere, because that will be easier for me. It'll happen. I've made a promise. I keep my promises. Last quote. In fact, when we as neurotypical people encounter a person with autism spectrum syndrome who's always been that way, it is that we have to adjust. Just because we can read people with autism correctly, whatever that word is, why do we always default to saying, well, that kid is not normal? What is normal? And to me, the heart of that is the end of that. What is normal? We assume normal is better. Is normal better? I could give you a whole bunch of examples where normal isn't better. Standard American diet, the way most people eat, not normal. But at the same time, normal. But at the same time, 60% of the country's overweight. We know that's not good. That's normal, right? So normal isn't necessarily good. And I think that's something that I picked up on very early, just because everybody was doing something, right? There's a rebellious streak to who I am that most of you, if you know me well, know. I push back on what is presented as normal or standard or anything like that. I like to carve my own path. I always have. And I get that from my mother. My mother has a very quiet but substantial rebellious streak. She wants to do things on her own. She's always been that way, at least as long as I've known her. And that extends today. For me. I assume it extends for her. You know, at mom age, I'm 42, at mom age, being rebellious isn't a thing that happens terribly often or in dramatic ways. But I have almost always been responsible for my own income. In my professional career, I had a full-time job working for somebody else for 6 months. That was it. That's all. The rest of my life, I've been carving out my own money, doing my own things. Hey, I'll do this. I'll do this. I've got, I got a text. I'll call from my plumber friend down the road when he was here dealing with the frozen pipes. He mentioned needing some help with something. He's got a big clawfoot tub he's got to set up for a customer, and he works solo. And I was like, I'll help you if you want. So, yep, next Tuesday, I'm gonna go help set up a tub. I'm a plumber's assistant on Tuesday. Maybe I'll learn something. That's why I do these things. All right. I think it's time. So I'm going to get ready to go. I've got all stuff packed up. I did that last night. I'll be in the car probably starting somewhere around 8:30, 9, driving to New Jersey, seeing some of, Dennis. I think just Dennis. I think Dennis is the only one on the feed I'll see tomorrow, but I'll still do a show. So don't worry. Don't worry. We're not going to cancel Friday's show. And what else do I got to do? Probably take some photos while we're down there. Might do some content, might do some recording. I will probably record some stuff for Patreon and everything while I'm driving, because with 16 plus hours in a car, why not? Leave me stuff to talk about tomorrow. Facebook.com/First Cup with Jeremy. Oh, excuse me. There it is. Remember, we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter or Twitch. Almost nobody watches on either Twitter or Twitch, but that's okay. And if you want to support us, patreon.com/whistlekick. Buy something at whistlekick.com, like this hoodie, which you can get through Sunday, or this mug using the code FirstCup15 gets you 15% off. If you want the full list, all the things you can do, I updated it yesterday. I really did. whistlekick.com/family. So check it out. I appreciate you guys. All of you. Each and every one of you. Thanks for coming by. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Craig. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching and drinking coffee with me and giving me a reason to get up in the morning. Truly. I wouldn't wake up this early otherwise, but it gets my day started, so it's a good thing. I'll see you tomorrow. Be well. Peace.